I'm Rachel Heck, and I am the Executive Director of Family Care Center. Family Care Center is a homeless shelter, but Family Care Center is so much more than that. I don't think anything needs to be like Rachel is the one who's accomplished this. That's not true. It's the team. So we have a 90% success rate. If they do what we've set up and we've asked them to do, they will be successful.
What's up, guys? Lift and Love. Lift and Love here. Where did you pull this question from? Why is that? Lift Love. Crochet. We out. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Lifting Love podcast. You are awesome, and we're back again with another episode. This time, we have a friend, someone who I've... Why are you... She's laughing at me already. She has a million reasons she wants to bully me right now. Someone who's a friend. She is the executive director of the Family Care Center, a mom, and someone, like I said, I get to call a friend. It is Rachel Heck. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the Lifting Love podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, how I start the podcast, how I just start the conversation in general is for the people who don't know you. Like, I know you. We've had a lot of conversations over the past almost year and a half that I've known you. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
So, for those of people who are watching who don't know who are you and what do you do?
Oh, okay. I'm Rachel Heck, and I am the Executive Director of Family Care Center, but you already said that. Who am I? I am a mom. I'm a wife. There's more to me, I'm sure. But
well, real quick, because I want to talk about
question.
Family Care Center.
Yeah.
Because in my experience, a lot of people know of it or have heard of it, but they really don't know exactly what it is. So briefly, if you could talk about what is Family Care Center?
Sure. Family Care Center is a homeless shelter on paper, right? And so that's how we're classified. But Family Care Center is so much more than that. While we classify as a shelter, we're really more of a program for families who have found themselves in unhoused situations. I feel like over, the past however many years, homelessness has taken a turn in what it looks like and how people come to find themselves homeless. Yeah. When I was growing up and maybe when you were growing up, and a lot of people have this mindset of homelessness is the person on the side of the road who maybe looks a little unwell. We always joke about how we're dressed homeless today. And so I think the trajectory of what homelessness has looked like has changed. And I was just telling someone yesterday, it's people who are beside you on the treadmill at the gym. It's people who are checking out behind you at the grocery store. It's happening to everybody because of several different reasons. But Family Care Center, we're a shelter, a program for people who have found themselves unhoused. And we support them through their transition into finding a place to take their family.
That's awesome. And I really want to deep dive into Family Care Center, but before we get to that, I want to deep dive into who you are.
Okay.
The executive director. Oh. First off, did you ever see yourself working in the nonprofit? Have you worked in the nonprofit before? Do you come from that field or?
Yeah. I started out in college as a education major and quickly realized that was not for me. I love kids, but I don't want to hang out with them all day. And I'm so grateful for teachers who do that. But that, I learned sort of after I had picked what I wanted to do with my life that wasn't going to work out. Mm-hmm. But I've always liked helping people. I like loving on people. I think it's one of my God-given talents is to love on people. And so I graduated with a degree in human services, and I went into the marketing field because that's what was there available. But I'm grateful for that because it gave me skills and knowledge of being able to do the job that I'm doing now. And then an opportunity opened up after I had my first child to go back part-time into the nonprofit sector. And I just kind of worked my way through that. I started part-time, worked my way to full-time, and then went from coordinator to director, and then made my way up to executive director.
So it was always there on your heart of like, hey, I want to help people.
Yeah.
But like education to marketing to human services, that's quite a jump.
Yeah.
What was it about the education? Was it just like the aspect of just dealing with kids all the time?
No, I mean, there's so much to education that I feel like we know now, but we didn't know then. It's very political. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, with like what you have to do, what you have to accomplish. And I just wanted to like sit on the carpet and read with them. Like I said, I like kids. And it was probably my junior year when I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought this was going to be. And, they're throwing all this stuff at you about the state mandates. And I'm just not, I don't want to do that. So
what did you think it was going to be?
Sitting on the carpet reading books.
All right, guys, it's story time.
Right. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. And that's just, and while that is, the kindergarten teachers that I've experienced are fantastic. I have one in kindergarten now. But it just wasn't for me.
And then jumping into the marketing role, how did that even come about? Was it like a switch in major, like you went back to school for it, or was it just like you had an opportunity to do something in marketing?
It was just an opportunity. I graduated, like I said, with a human services degree, because when you change your degree in your junior year,
it's
then
tough.
like, oh, well, you just added on another however many semesters. Yeah. And so human services I had already accomplished a lot of the base work for that and the core curriculum. And it, I think it was a godsend, truly. Now the marketing job, that was just an opportunity. It was their hiring and detective work, right? It was inside sales marketing. It was detective work on the outside sales guy needs to talk to this person. And so my job was to find as much as I could about that person.
It was that is a little bit of detective work, huh?
Yeah. And, kind of vetting companies to see if they were a match for what the outside sales guys were selling. And it was like detective work. It was fun.
And then how did that experience from both of those fields go in the nonprofit world?
The vetting is really important, right? Like, not everybody's going to care about your cause.
That's true.
While you would hope everybody would care about homelessness. Some people have animals on their hearts, or some people have, premature babies on their hearts, and that's great. So not everybody's going to be as gung-ho about your cause as they are about something else, which is fine. And so kind of having that knowledge and skill to being able to vet people and say, these are the types of businesses that we want to support our organization. These are the types of people, and being able to strategically find out who they are and where they are.
What do you feel is like, because I mean, like you said, you vet people and, you're not selling people per se because you're a nonprofit. Like you're asking people to donate.
Sure.
Coming from both of those fields, was it hard to change and be like, okay, yes, this is a nonprofit, but like I kind of have to be a little bit of a salesperson in a sense. How hard was that transition?
It's not. I've never minded asking people for things. So, and I think that's the hardest part of sales. Some people just aren't built to go out and ask for money or favors or items or whatever that might be. It doesn't bother me because the worst they can say is no. Sometimes hearing the no sucks, but that's the worst that they can say. And I learned at that marketing job, you hear 7 no's before you get a yes. And so you kind of almost like, okay, I'm on my 6th no. I'm almost there,
You kind of get excited for the no's because it's less and less until you hear
someone says yes.
Exactly.
And someone's always going to say yes eventually.
Yeah. Unless you're just awful at selling. That could also be a possibility.
Yeah. No, but I mean, there is a sense of selling to fundraising. You have to sell your story, and I once heard someone say that the person who tells the best story is the one who's going to get the most money. And so it's finding the stories the success stories and the heartstrings and telling people about those. And they're real. The stories that we're telling are real, and they're real people, and they're happening to real things are happening to real people. You tell those stories, and you find the person who says, wow, that's amazing. I want to support that cause. And it doesn't always need to be financial. We house folks. We provide everything for them. We provide beds, and we provide bed sheets and pillows and hangers in the closet. And we provide microwaves and cups and forks. And so everybody's got some of that stuff laying around that they might not need anymore. And that's also beneficial to us.
So before I started helping out with Family Care Center and helping with the social media stuff, I had a completely different aspect of what a homeless shelter, I'm just going to use that phrase, homeless shelter, looks like, or what I thought it would look like.
Right.
but I've heard stories, and I've had friends, unfortunately, who were in homeless shelters. And when I got there and I started talking to you, and I actually started meeting the residents and the people that you guys have helped, it's not a home. It's a community. It's like it's just like a bunch of families who live on the same block. It's just like a big old community.
Yeah.
And how important was that when you got there to keep that like atmosphere of like, yes, you guys are all in this awful predicament, and hopefully this is a temporary thing to transition out of. But how did it go about when you first started to be like, we need to keep this a community, and keep that like family aspect to it?
So the community aspect of it didn't exist when I first came. It was, we've evolved and we've had a lot of changes, but it was very, it was encouraged to find community kind of outside a family care center, like in a church or in a religious organization. It doesn't necessarily need to be Christian. It can be whatever religion you choose to follow. But the support system in the homelessness situation is vital, right? I tell people all the time, I've got a support system. I've got both sets of parents, mine and my husband's, here in the area. We have a group of friends that I could call and rely on, no questions asked. Not everybody has that. And we're both from the area, right? So we're not transplants. We understand, like, you're a transplant. You didn't grow up here. Yeah. And so if something happened and you don't have that support system, whether in family or friends, and your kid gets sick, or you get sick and you can't go to work, or something happens, your water heater breaks, whatever it might be, if you don't have that support system to help you through that, that's detrimental. And so we would always, the organization would encourage you to find that outside community. And that can be hard when you don't have transportation, or maybe you don't have a good relationship with your family or your friends. Maybe there's been some bridges that have been burned and you need to work on that. And so it was really important for me to build that community aspect because, like you said, they're all living on the same block, literally. Yeah. We have a playground. The kids would see each other on the playground. Kids are kids, and I love that about kids, right? They see another person their age, like, oh, I want to play with her, we're
best friends.
Right.
That's it.
We're instantly best friends. Yeah. And that happened last night. My own daughter, we were at gymnastics last night, and she was a little bored, and she saw another little girl her age and walked up to her, and she was like, what's your name? Yeah, and I love that about kids, because they're just like, hey, she's here, and I want to play with you. Yeah. And I think we can learn a lot from how kids interact with each other, but that's a story for a different day. So the community aspect for me was really important. I wanted these families to know that they could lean on each other. Their kids, if they choose to enroll their children in the district that we are set for, then their kids are going to school together, and they're getting on the bus together and getting off the bus together. And I've seen beauty come out of encouraging them to help each other. This apartment doesn't get off work until 4:30, but her daughter gets off the bus at 3:45, and this apartment is home. So can she come to your apartment and hang out? It's safe. They make friendships. They change phone numbers. I've seen them buy groceries for each other when one mom has her food stamps don't come in, or her paycheck doesn't come in, and then this one has extra, so she shares. There's beauty in that, and we've created a really good community sense at Family Care Center.
What did you think before? Like, obviously, you interviewed for the job and all that stuff. What did you think before you even applied for that job? Like, did you think the role, knowing what you know now, was going to be exactly what it is, or what was your initial thought of the role?
A lot of fundraising, which I'm good at. And it's hard to say that, right? And hard to say I'm good at something, but I'm good at fundraising. But I'm very collaborative. I want to, work with everybody. I don't think anything needs to be like Rachel is the one who's accomplished this. That's not true. It's the team. I complimented you the other day. I know you need to write that.
Get the tissues out.
Write that date and
time
down.
Write that date and time down.
Yeah, Rachel gave plenty of compliment. No, because it is a team effort. You've done tremendous work for our organization by sharing who we are and what we do, and the load that it takes off of me to say, I could have made that post, but it's honestly easier just to ask you to do it. And it's going to look better when you do it versus if I do it. But the job, I thought a lot of fundraising, which is, that's the director's job, right? Yeah. A lot of times. And that's fine. And I don't mind doing that. It's fun. But there's also the human aspect of it too. I get to encourage the moms and encourage the dads and hug the kids and hold the babies and
and you love holding babies.
Yes, let me have them. You go have your meeting. I'll be right here.
I was there one day, and we were set to film some, and all of a sudden a baby came in for one of the. I guess she had a meeting with Alexis, and you took that baby, and you're like, yeah, we're not going to do that right now.
Yeah. This is more important.
Yeah,
always.
So you actually mentioned your team. Speaking of Alexis, Cheyenne, Karen, and Lamar.
Yeah.
How important is having a good team?
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, I don't want to do it all myself. I can't do it all myself. And the team, I was saying this to someone the other day. We spend more time with our coworkers than we do our families. If you go to an office and you work 40 hours a week, you're spending more time with those folks than you are your own flesh and blood. So yeah, it's important. You got to have people who are willing. And when you work for a nonprofit, my job might be director and find the money and raise the money and run the program. But some days my job is go clean the apartment or go move furniture. Or this morning it was find a coat. We had a woman come down and said she didn't have a coat. Did we have one for her? So my job turned into calling the soup kitchen and asking folks online, do you have a coat in this size? We need a coat. Cheyenne does a great job at that. She jumps into any role you ask her to. She's a great fundraiser. She's the most organized person I have ever met.
Ever.
Yes.
Everything's like color coordinated.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's sticky notes on. If you need to know where something is, she's got a sticky note for it. She is the most organized person ever. And I complimented her on that. I'm like, gosh, I want to be like you when I grow up. You're just the most
Just for one day. Just give me one day.
I could not do my job without Cheyenne.
I mean, you wouldn't be able to get into your car, open your office, your phone, your water bottle.
I know. Well, yesterday, I got all the way out to my car, and I was like, I don't have my purse. Dang. She goes, it's in your office. I'm like, how do you know where my purse is?
She just knows where everything is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Alexis is fantastic with the guest. She has a heart for people in this situation, and that's her story to tell. But she holds them accountable, but she does it with grace, and that is so important to me because these are moms. I'm a mom. These are dads going through situations, and they have kids. Most of the time, they have young kids. I have young kids, so it's easy to see the need to support and provide for your children in their eyes, and she does a really good job of that. She loves on the families. She holds them accountable. She makes sure that they do what they said they were going to do. And then if a setback happens, she handles it with grace. She loves on them and lets them know that it happens. It happens to all of us, but let's keep moving forward.
And what's one of the hardest parts of your job? If you had to break one thing down, what's the hardest part of your job?
When people take advantage, there's always going to be people who see an opportunity to fly under the radar and see an opportunity to get maybe some handouts, some freebies, and not do what they said they would. So our whole program is set up that, like I said, it's not just a shelter, it's a program. So when they are invited to apply, you have to apply. It's not for everyone. And then there's 7 sheets of paper that we go through with them that have rules and agreements and understanding. This is what we're going to hold you accountable to. And we even went through some of them at some point, you have to initial beside it. You have to sign the bottom saying that you agree and understand, but even some of the more important ones, we want you to initial beside it so that you're agreeing to do this. And we've had people get up and say, this is not for me. This is too much. I thought this was something different, and that's fine. Yeah. But so it's a program. We hold them accountable.
Do you deal with a lot of people who just come in and they're just like, oh, I thought it was just going to be, we stay here for 3 months and that's it. And when it's really more of yes, it's temporary, but it's not temporary for you to just go back on the street. It's temporary for you to find
move forward.
Permanent housing.
Right.
Do you deal with that?
No. 90% of our, it's a bug. 90% of our guests move forward to permanent housing. So we have a 90% success rate. And Alexis
awesome.
Goes forward not just counting those who move into permanent housing, but she also breaks it down to those who were successful in doing what we asked them to. And so, we could have someone move into the shelter and live there for 3 months and work the system, which is easy to do, and find housing. But did they really overcome the situation that led them to this? Maybe not. Yeah. But most of them do. If they do what we've set up and we've asked them to do, they will be successful.
Where did the structure come from, the program? Was that like something you guys came up with? Has it always been there? Like what was like the origin of the program?
That's a great question. So this organization is 37 years old this year. I myself am also 37, so I wasn't there. I know. Thank you. I'm old. I wasn't there when the program originated, and I'm sure that it has adjusted over the 37 years. But I can tell you the basis was there, the framework was there when I came in. It was already successful. My predecessor was fantastic. She did an amazing job running this organization. She retired and is living her life at the beach. And she is a fantastic resource for me to reach out to and ask questions. So I'm sure it looked completely different 37 years ago than it does today. I do know that when it first started, couples had to be married. You couldn't be unmarried. You couldn't be single mom. Well, maybe you could be single mom. I don't know. I know couples had to be married.
Wow.
No same-sex couples, anything like that. And now there's no discrimination, right, on how that looks. Anybody can come in. It can be multi-generational. It can be me and my brother's kids. However the family looks when they come to us is how the family looks. And there's no discrimination against that. So the framework was there. I don't know how it's evolved over the past 37 years. I can only speak to my tenure.
When did you start?
3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years. Wow. How has it changed? How has your role, or how has the organization changed over the last 3 years? And what have you done or implemented that you feel like has been beneficial for the organization?
We do a lot of family activities. I think, a goal of mine is that in 20 years, when these kids and these parents look back on their childhood and their early stages of parenthood, that this doesn't feel like we lived in a shelter, right? This feels like we lived in an apartment where Easter egg hunts happened and where they brought us huge buckets on Halloween full of candy and toys, and where Santa came. And, that's how it feels. It doesn't feel like a time of struggle. And that's a goal of mine. And I'm never, maybe I'll be around for someone to call me in 20 years and tell me that came to fruition. But that's what I hope. And so we do a lot of family activities. Like I said, Easter egg hunts. We try and do a summer, like bounce house water slide cookout for them. We recently did a Christmas dinner that was brought in by Olive Garden and donated.
Shout out Olive Garden.
Yeah. When I went and knocked on one of the doors and I was like, "Hey, we have spaghetti," and like, this little 6-year-old girl went, "Noodles!" I'm like, "Well, I guess she's coming."
She likes it.
Yeah. Well, cookie decorating. Santa came last year. We had, what all have we done? We've had a comfort dog come in and do story time with the kids, and you've got this beautiful golden retriever laying on the ground, and the kids get to come and lay on her and rub on her, and she just sits there and loves it, and anything to just kind of enrich their lives and give them a normal childhood that their parents don't have to go out of their way to spend any extra resources or to stress out about Christmas or to stress out about, I don't have transportation to take my kid trick-or-treating, but they still get that experience of a big old pumpkin showing up and carving pumpkins. We did carving pumpkins for them this past year, paid for the pumpkins, provided carving kits, just enrich their lives. So that's something that's an initiative of mine, and we've had great support from the community on funding those opportunities. We have had a serious focus on transportation the past couple of years, providing transportation. I've written many grants that help us repair cars, buy new tires, replace radiators, fix batteries.
And this year specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, I don't even think it was like 6 months in between, if that.
Yeah.
It was very close you guys donated 2 cars to the families there.
Yeah, well, in between December of 23 and December of 24, we gave 3 cars away.
I guess I wasn't there for the first one, but for the last 2.
Yeah, but I mean that's
that's awesome.
Just transportation is a huge barrier for folks who are in unhoused or homeless situations, and so that's always been fun, right? Someone calls and says, "I have a car to give away." I'm like, "Oh, yay!"
What are you gonna say? No,
well,
we're good.
I don't know. I've learned my lesson. But it's lessons you've learned, right? I wouldn't want to be in Alexis's shoes because she's got to pick who they're gonna give it to.
This is exactly what I would do. Put all the names in a hat. All right, this family, all the families that need. I wouldn't be able to pick. That's got to be a crazy thing.
Yeah, but you can. I'm assuming her thought process is finding the ones who are on that threshold, right? Yeah. Like if they had reliable transportation,
could they get across?
They could cross over into further success. Some of them come in with transportation. I would say probably 70% have some form of reliable transportation, whether that's a friend, a family member, or their own car. But yeah, I don't want to be the one making that choice. I'm going to let her continue to do that.
Guys, I swear, I didn't make that decision.
No, not me.
So what are your goals for 2025 as far as the nonprofit's concerned? And then I kind of want to jump back into you and your story.
Oh, me and my story. Okay. So we've been raising funds for a capital campaign, a building project since late 2023. And it's about a $1.5 million project to build 6 additional apartments on our campus to house up to 24 additional families.
Wow.
And we're about 75% of the way there. That last 25% is vital in order to move forward. And so that's something that's on my radar. I want to move some dirt by June of this year. And I think it really can be done with the community support as well as some grants and agencies, federal agencies, state agencies.
And how much is that going to help just being able to provide 24 more families with housing?
Oh, it would be, amazing. We have about 1.5 applications for housing per day. Now, again, not all of them qualify for housing in our program, because going back to it as a program. But that would, it would knock our wait list down. Our wait list at the moment is about 3 months. So, and hopefully nobody knows that in 3 months they're going to be homeless. Usually it's I'm going to be homeless next week kind of situation. Yeah. And so that would help us kind of move through that list a little quicker and be able to house folks quicker because we have more space to do so. But then on the back end of that, you've got all of these issues with HUD and with public housing and voucher systems, and that's slowing down. There's not as many landlords who are willing to take vouchers, and so families have to stay with us longer because they can't find a place that will take a voucher or a place that they can afford. The cost of living is higher than what most people are making, especially if you think a single mom with multiple children, or even you recently interviewed a double income family for our organization. So a double income family is still struggling to find something that they can afford, which is crazy. So that capital campaign is it's huge for us to be able to finish that and get it under construction so that we can finally get our list down and more folks housed.
I know you said June. What is the realistic goal of how possible do you think it could be for June?
Well, so I say June because we've got a big ask out there with a government agency that we've partnered with in the past. And that's when we should have their final say. But we have decided, one way or another, June's the deadline. Like if we get that funding, if we're moving forward with that partnership, awesome, right? If we don't, we're still going to move forward anyway. It just might look a little different. So.
And then last thing on Family Care Center. So it is a program. So they're going through a 3-month program. Mm-hmm. What happens after that 3 months is up?
Well, it just depends. It depends on them. It depends on what they've accomplished, how hard they've worked. You go back to that 10% of folks who have come in and they've sat there and they haven't done what they said they would, and they haven't really tried, and that's unfortunate. But we have a lot of things that we've put in place to kind of prevent that from happening, but it's going to happen, right? You've got some folks who come in and you've got every excuse under the sun on why you can't go to work, or I couldn't find a job. And it is hard. I mean, I'm not knocking, how hard it is for some folks to come out here, especially, again, if you don't have that support system. You found a third shift job, but you don't have anybody watch your baby while you're working third shift. It's hard to go to work.
Yeah.
So we're not, that's where that accountability with grace comes in. We're going to work with you. But if, let's just say you've come in, you've worked your tail off, you're saving money left and right, you're passing inspections in the apartments, you're doing your weekly meetings, you're turning in applications for housing, but you haven't found anything, we're not going to release you back into homelessness because of lack of availability, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But if you're coming in and you've, I was going to apply, but I never got a ride, or, whatever it might be, but you've spent the last 3 months sitting at home, and you don't have any money saved, and you haven't applied for any jobs, or you can't prove that you've applied for any jobs, or you don't have any housing applications that you've turned in, and you've missed your meetings. It's not a secret, right? It's not a secret that you have to leave. We tell you that from the get-go. When you move in, if you moved in today, you would get 3 months from today assigned to you the day you move in. So it's not a secret. You know that in 3 months you have to leave. And so 3 months comes up. It really just depends on the work you've done and what you've accomplished while you're here.
I think it's just cool because it's just like a lot of people probably, or like a lot of people would think that you just go in there and that's it, you just stay there. But no, it's like a program to help you get on your feet. It's more than just, we don't want you to just be not homeless for the 3 months or 6 months. We want you to go through this program and be able to set yourself up for the future.
Well, and you'll be successful if you do it.
Yeah, because what's the point of going somewhere temporarily if you could fix and work on some things, and then all of a sudden now you have an apartment and you get a house and you kind of just be able to go on with life and in a better, more positive, uplifting manner. That was, Well,
and I'll tell you, the ones that have moved on to permanent housing but weren't successful in the program, 90% of those people who have moved on to permanent housing, great. But were they successful in the program? That's why we started tracking that too, is because last week, one of them came back. They're still in a bad situation. They still need help. Well, they left a year and a half ago. On paper, they were successful because they moved into an apartment. Mm-hmm. But they're still struggling because they didn't do anything while they were there. They didn't overcome the barriers that were there. And so it's a one-time only opportunity, and we tell folks that, you can't come back. Yeah. If you've been here once, you can't have this service again. And so utilize it. Do what we're asking you to do so that when you move out, you don't need to come back. And I would say that the people who have moved out and weren't successful in the program, I mean, I'd wager $1 that they're going to call us eventually. Maybe a little bit more than $1. But I'm not a betting woman, but
not like $5.
Maybe. Maybe. No, we're going to hear from them again, and that's unfortunate. But that's why Alexis started tracking. Sure, they were successful in finding housing, but were they successful in doing what we asked them to? If they were, it's the only reason we're going to hear from them again is probably because some mail showed up, especially I had a package accidentally delivered. Can I come back and get it? And we hear from people like that all the time. They come back and, how are you? I miss you guys. Thank you so much for what you did. We're doing good. We're living here. They're thriving. Yeah.
How awesome is that to hear like a story of someone coming back? That's got to feel just amazing.
Oh yeah, and the kids come back. They had some kids come back yesterday, and that's always fun. I like the kids. I want to see them too.
Because they're like a little bit of a part of your family as well. It's like, because you're not just, okay, hey, whatever you need, and then that's it. It's like you're invested in these kids' lives. I mean, I've been there for like when parents are still working and they come hang out at the office with you guys and all different types of things. I was there one time and there was like probably 10, 15 kids, and we're playing basketball, we're riding a scooter, they're throwing the football, they're on the playground. Like, so it is really just an awesome community.
Yeah.
So I want to switch back to you. So you said you're a mom. Mm-hmm. So before you were a mom, is this what you ever envisioned your life looking like?
Like for work?
Well, not just for work, but like how you are now with your kids and all that. Did you ever like envision like a family life or any of that?
Yeah.
Like what was that like coming out of college and going into the real world? If you
so scary.
The real world. Did you ever want like kids and like a big old family?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking because, at one point, I think every girl, I shouldn't say every girl. I, at one point, was like, I want like 6 kids, and then you have them and you're like, oh, it's a little bit harder than I thought.
Two's fine.
Two's fine.
We'll go
We're
there.
good. We're good.
And a dog.
Yeah, I always wanted kids. I love kids. Like I said, I want to be a kindergarten teacher. So it's like, of course, kids are going to be in the cards for me if I have my choice.
What did anything like change like after having kids? Where it was like, did you have like a change of like, I want to do something different in my career, or were you already in nonprofit when you had your kid?
I know. Remember, I went back part-time after my daughter was born.
Did that change your mindset at all? Of like, hey, like maybe I want to do something a little different than like the marketing you were in and all that.
I don't know if it changed my mind, but I am very grateful to have a job that raises my children to see the difference in the world. That's what I want. I want my kids to grow up knowing how to love others and to be sympathetic to others and to be a voice for others. So
that's awesome. And then what? Sorry, that's something on my eye.
Are you crying?
I'm not.
I
crying.
moved you to tears.
I moved me. Well, I mean, you always usually move me to tears, but it's not the good kind of tears.
I'm not that mean.
Because you both.
I'm not.
You are. Anyway, so last 2 questions for you. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, college you, what advice would you give to your younger self?
College, Rachel? Oh, Lord.
That's scary.
She needs a talking to. I don't know. I mean, just it's going to work out. I mean, college Rachel is probably not the one I need to be talking to. Let's talk to high school Rachel.
Don't go to college.
No. Make smarter choices. Yeah, it's going to work out. I think when you're 16, 17, 20, you've got this idea of what your life is going to look like. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy with my life. I am. I love my job. I love my husband. I love my family. I love being a mom. I do have the 2 kids and the dog, and I have everything I need and I want. So I would just tell young Rachel that is, don't stress out. You're stressing yourself out, girl. Calm down. Yeah.
Relax a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
Maybe a lot.
A lot. Yeah, it'll be okay.
And then the last 2 things I got for you. For anyone watching this, maybe they're down on hard times, or maybe they're struggling in life where they're at right now, or maybe like you, they want to change career paths or thinking about doing something different in their life. What's the best piece of advice you give to someone watching this, and what would you say to them?
Someone who's down in hard times, it's okay to ask for help, because there are people who are there to help for nothing other than because they want you to succeed, and whatever that might look like. And I know that it can be hard to ask for help, but it doesn't make you any less of a person to ask for help. I want someone to know that. And, there are other people like me out there. I know there are. I've met them. I've seen them. I've talked to them. I collaborate with them daily. You need a coat? Let's get you a coat. Yeah. We can find it. And there's somebody out there who doesn't mind asking for a coat. And that's me. I don't mind asking, and some people aren't like that, but don't be afraid to ask for help. And if somebody wants to change career paths, I'm not going to lie to you. You're not going to get rich doing this. And so that's not important to me, right? Yeah. Like I said, I love my life, but in the service field, you do it because you love it, and you do it because you want to make a difference. And it's important to me, like I said, to raise the next generation to also know that one person can make a difference, and you can go in and you can have this vision. And that vision was created by our founder 37 years ago, and we're still here, and I hope we're still here 37 years from now.
That's awesome. And then the last thing before you shout out your social media, what do you want the legacy of Family Care Center to be? If someone's watching this right now and maybe they've never heard of it, maybe they want to help or they have the means to help financially, they're able to provide a service, whatever that looks like, what would you tell them about Family Care Center and what that donation means and / what it would go to?
Mm-hmm. Gosh, it would mean, I mean, it's the difference between housing and or success and not success, right? Like I said, if our families come in and they do what we ask them to, they're going to thrive. And so any donations, monetary donations that are given to us go directly to our operating budget, and our operating budget is 90% goes straight to the, families. We have 22 houses that we have to oversee. That comes with roofs and utilities and water and bedding and drywall and all the things that we have to maintain and keep up. And that's what we provide to these families. We also provide partnerships and collaborations. If they need food, we'll find food for them. If they need a coat, we'll find a coat for them. And so that allows us, those monetary donations help us accomplish those things. And like I said, those family engagement activities, I think offering that sense of normalcy is super important too. But obviously, if anybody's listening and they have a heart for one or two of those things, but maybe not everything, they can specify where their money goes to. They can write $100 check and says, please use this for food, or please use this for new bedding. And, we'll honor that and we'll put their money where they ask us to. So, yeah.
And then the absolute last thing for you. First off, I want to say thank you for your time. And I know it's valuable. I know you got a million other things going on. So thank you for your time. Thanks for sitting down. And lastly, where can people find Family Care Center? I guess you should be asking me that question. Where can people find Family Care Center, and where can people reach out to donate and find out more information about it?
People can find Family Care Center in Hickory, North Carolina, right off Highland Avenue. You've probably driven by it if you're local to Hickory and you've never known what it is. I had someone tell me a couple weeks ago they thought it was a nursing home, which I love. I love that we fly under the radar because it keeps us safe, right? Like it's not on a foot traffic area. So we're right off Highland Avenue. Come on down and visit. I love showing off what we have. I think what we have is amazing, and I'll take you on a tour. And then if someone wanted to know how to find our social media, I would ask them to call you. But if you want to donate to a Family Care Center, then there's an option for that on our website, familycare-center.org.
Family Care, I hate the dash in there.
I know. It's long. It's long.
All social media is Family Care Center. I believe it's Family Care Center CV. For Catawba Valley. But thank you so much for your time. And that was another Lifting Love podcast. Until next time, there's only one thing to do. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't, wherever you get your podcast. And shout out to Lake Hickory Pub Marina for allowing us to shoot here where lake and life meet. As you almost break the microphone. And one more time, thank you to Rachel. I'm just trying to help. And thank you to Rachel Heck from Family Care Center. And until next time, we out.
Peace out.